IVF has exploded everywhere. And it's with the backing of President Trump, with the backing of Kari Lake and so many other conservatives. Yes, it comes because of the great Alabama Supreme Court decision to call embryos human beings. But what's happened now is a grave confusion. Why don't you just give you a little sense of what IVF is? IVF, and we've got great articles on LifeSite. Please go check them out if you're interested in all the scientific details. But to give you an analogy that I made up many years ago in order to show people how this looks like, what it is in reality, rather than, because what it seems like to everybody is like, oh, look, you can't have a baby. Poor couple can't have a baby. Oh, science can give you a baby. Hurrah, science is pro-life. No, that's not the story at all. In fact, my analogy goes like this. You have to imagine two buildings. In this one building, there is a couple who is without a child, and they're standing at the upper top of the building at a window, open window, looking forlorn outside the window, hoping they could have a child. Across the laneway in the other building is a scientist, and he's on top of the building, and he's got 30 little babies in diapers that he has there. And he says, oh, I can help that couple have a child. And so he takes up 4 little babies and he chucks them across the laneway toward the open window. Oops, none of them make it that time. So it's okay. He's still got 26 other little babies that he can chuck across the laneway. So he takes up another 4 and chucks them across the laneway toward the open window. Lo and behold, 1 gets into the window. The couple has a child now, and everybody screams, hooray, wonderful, pro-life. It's not pro-life at all, because the rest of those babies are also frozen for later use, perhaps, of that couple, and likely will be killed anyway. IVF is an absolutely destructive process that kills babies like 30 to 1 compared to those that are actually brought to birth. It is a horrific practice. It's against God's will for procreation. Can't be done. And we've got to know that in order to teach that, because it's coming from conservatives in the United States, this push for IVF. Liz, give me your take on that, if you would.
We're not even arguing effectively to change minds and hearts to abortion, let alone to IVF. And IVF is defined by Yale Medicine as a procedure that involves retrieving a woman's eggs and a man's sperm sample and combining the two in a laboratory dish. Most Catholics in the pro-life movement are against IVF because IVF replaces the marital act with a laboratory act that really is an affront to the dignity of the child who is conceived. And it eradicates, as you say, many embryos to yield only a few living children. And there's a wonderful article, an op-ed by Padre Peregrino, Father Dave Nix on LifeSite News. And he talks about a personal story from this woman where the doctor retrieved 38 good eggs, of which 31 were fertilized. Over the next week, 16 of the embryonic children died or were discarded. 13 were frozen, mostly 2 to a vial. And oftentimes what happens is that, and I didn't know this, when you thaw the frozen embryos, they often die. So the whole procedure is causing extensive death to these, fertilized human beings. People say, oh, there are not enough children to adopt. Loving couple wants to be parents. What could be so bad about IVF? First of all, there are hundreds of thousands of children in the United States who will never be adopted because, no one wants them, but they desperately need a family. So look into those children who are in state care, who have suffered abuse and neglect, but need desperately a loving family. We need to encourage women who are pregnant who decide to adopt to, in fact, carry those babies to term. I mean, this is all about embracing the culture of life in all its complexities. And folks, with the technological innovations that are coming, with everything that's coming, hold on to your hat. IVF is going to be ramped up by, the radical left. And so, I would urge people to read this story that Father writes about, but also to start getting engaged and understanding the issue so that when you do have a conversation with people in your family, outside, that you're well versed on the actual reality of IVF.